It's the therapy that we can afford because it's basically free. All the media that we have, I don't know. Hey guys, what's up? It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. This is the 7th time I am refilming this intro. So we're just gonna dive right into it. I love TV, I love books, I love escapism, and a lot of the times when I am watching some of my favorite TV shows, I'm thinking, I would love to read a book with this same vibe. So I put together a list of 9 of my favorite TV shows to correspond with 9 of my favorite book series that I think match these vibes really, really well. So without further ado, here are those recs. All right, let's just start off with the Tree Hill Ravens and One Tree Hill. So this show aired in 2003, and I did watch it back when it was airing, but it's one of those shows that is a lot more popular now on rewatch and binging than it was back in the day. But it's still a great show. I've been watching it for 20 years now, and it still holds up. But this show is the epitome of found family. And with this, I know several other people have recommended this series with this show, but it goes perfectly with that. And so that is going to be the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I know Larry Reed specifically recommended this in a video similar to this last year or the year before, and I get why. So this series, you're going to have a group of people that are going to come together and form a family, even though some of them are related to each other. Like One Tree Hill 2, without revealing spoilers, 2 characters in this series very early in the series, like book 1, they are going to discover that they are half siblings. And so like One Tree Hill, you're going to have a lot of drama and dynamics centered around that, because you have a character that was raised by this parent, and then you have a character that was not raised by that parent. And so it really gives a lot of the One Tree Hill-esque type of drama that you want. Also similar to One Tree Hill, I have to say, is that the 3 girls, the Calloway sisters, they are all so unique and they are their own individual people. Just like the ladies of One Tree Hill, you have Peyton, who uses music and art as a form of escapism, and I feel like that's Lily a lot. You know, she uses her nerd obsessions of Star Wars and comic books and everything like that. Lily has certain addictions that she has to deal with, not drug related or anything, but she's just kind of a mess like Peyton. Much respect for Peyton Sawyer, though. Peyton Sawyer is my favorite character in that show, and I know that is an entirely unpopular opinion, but Lily is also my favorite character in the series. Another totally unpopular opinion. But moving on, you have Rose Calloway, who, like the Queen Brooke Davis herself, is building her own fashion empire. And then you have Daisy Calloway, who is the youngest of the sisters, and she's just this adrenaline junkie, this wild child that just wants to be free. But each of these girls just had something that made them unique. This is a 9-book series. Some books you're gonna go back in time and cover events that happened with other characters' books. You can see it in those characters' point of views. It's a lot, but it's a very comfortable series in the sense that you feel like you are friends with these people, which is a lot like One Tree Hill. So I know a lot of people have read this series. So if you haven't read the series, but you've watched One Tree Hill, read the series. But if you've read the series and you haven't watched One Tree Hill, go watch One Tree Hill. It's great, I promise. And then kind of staying on the same genre, now we're gonna jump into The OC. So The OC also aired in 2003. It actually was on Fox, and it was a rival of One Tree Hill. I actually listened to the One Tree Hill Drama Queens podcast when I was doing a rewatch of the show last year, and I remember the girls were saying that they were competing with The OC, and so a lot of the stuff they would do, they would kind of counteract and stuff. But anyway, so if you do not know what The OC is a teen drama that takes place in Newport Beach in the early 2000s, and it is about a family, the Cohens, that take in a troubled teen who basically has no one. In the pilot episode, he ends up in juvie for basically being in the wrong place at the wrong time and helping his brother out when he shouldn't have. And so the court-ordered attorney that is put on his case is Sandy Cohen. And Sandy Cohen is the greatest TV dads ever. He instantly recognizes in Ryan that he needs help, and he takes him home with him to Newport. And his wife Kirsten is amazing, and these two people basically bring Ryan into their home, becoming his legal guardians and giving him a better life. They have a teenage son, Ryan's age, Seth, who is the biggest nerd to ever exist. All that rambling on about that show, now I'm going to bring you into the series, which is Boys of Tommen. So when I did my reread of Boys of Tommen in my tandem vlog back in April, I actually decided to put the OC on in the background, and it was immediately in the pilot episode that I was like, oh my god, Chloe Walsh totally based this show on things in this book. So if you've read Boys of Tommen, then you'll know that Johnny Kavanaugh's parents are a lot like the two parents I described in this show. And so without revealing spoilers of this series, things happen in this series that are a lot like this series of parents that aren't yours that want to help you out. Once again, Boys of Tommen is like my favorite found family series ever. This is only a group of 4 friends, but they are tight. They have each other's back no matter what. This series has a lot of trauma, a lot of things happening. Ryan himself reminds me a lot of Joey Lynch. He doesn't have any substance abuse problems like that, but he's just a kid that shows a lot of potential, and he's really smart, and he needs to be in a better environment. And Marissa is just a mess, and these characters are fun. And the setting is literally the same timeline as this. Also in Boys of Tommen, I know in the Saving 6 and Redeeming 6 duet, Aoife specifically mentions that she loves watching the OC and Seth Cohen. So once again, if you haven't watched this series, read this series. If you haven't read this series, watch this series. They're both great. All right, let's talk Gossip Girl now. So I think this goes without saying, Magnolia Parks. All right, so we all know Gossip Girl takes place in New York City. It is about a group of wealthy socialites, more found family. Pretty much a lot of these are going to be found family. And the drama and the toxic relationships along the way. And when I read Magnolia Parks, I instantly thought of Chuck and Blair, because I think Magnolia and BJ give a lot of those vibes. Also with the Magnolia Parks universe, we have Daisy Hates. So if you are not a big fan of Magnolia, you have another female character, and Daisy Hates is awesome. She is like my favorite in the entire series. One thing to note about Magnolia is I also think that she is a great combination of both Blair and Serena. Blair with just, you know, being a fashionista and knowing all of that stuff, and then Serena with needing to have romantic validation with every guy she like interacts with. That is a thing that irks me a lot about Magnolia, and it's a thing that irks me a lot about Serena. But I think if you take those two characters together and mix them together, you have Magnolia Parks. But there's a lot of other characters in this that, like I said, they are found family. When you switch into the Daisy Hates book, you actually are going to get the events that happened in Magnolia Parks, but again in Daisy Hates. I like when authors do that, because let's face it, the same drama is going to happen in one group of friends, but it's really interesting to see that drama in different characters' point of views, because everybody's going to see it differently, right? If you like Gossip Girl, read Magnolia Parks. If you like Magnolia Parks, read Gossip Girl. We're going to do something a little different. With fall right around the corner and football season, we have Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights is a very good show, I have to say. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, and if you love football, I highly suggest that you watch this show. So this show is centered around a small town Texas team, and the coach that is basically starting fresh as the head coach with this team and all the pressures surrounding it. Not only does this show follow Coach Taylor in his life, but it follows the lives of the players. With that said, I know that you can pick a lot of companion novel football romances, but for this specifically, I chose the Treasure State Wildcats by Devney Perry, because this series covers players and coaches as the main character. The first book of the series is Coach, and like Friday Night Lights, the head coach of this is new to the team, and he's basically brought in to clean up a mess of what the old head coach did. I don't think that's similar with Friday Night Lights. I think the coach just retired or whatever, but either way, both of these coaches have a lot on their shoulders to prove that they can keep these jobs. Now, also with book one, similar to the show, is that Coach Eric's wife, Tammy Taylor, she has a huge role in the show. She works at the school, and so they kind of have a little bit of conflicts with each other sometimes. She has to put the interests of the students and their academics ahead of athletics because she is the counselor. And in Coach, the female main character, she is like the assistant athletic director. They both work at the college, and her job means the world to her, like Tammy Taylor. And so they have these conflicts with each other. And that's just book one. And then book two is going to be the assistant coach and a student athlete who's on the volleyball team. And those relationships are completely forbidden. And then book three, which just came out, is the quarterback, and it is an accidental pregnancy, and this book actually rocked. I really, really liked it. Now, another cool thing about this series is that all of these books are taking place during the same football season. So when I read the first book, I remember the coach walking in on an argument between the quarterback and the girl he got pregnant. And then when I just finished Rally, the third book last week, I got that scene again. It's a very cool way to do that. But I just think for football and small town and getting the lives of not only just the players, but the coaches as well, definitely a great one. So Friday Night Lights and Treasure State Wildcats. And with another sport theme here, I'm going to go with gymnastics. Now, this show, not a lot of people probably have heard about it. It was on ABC Family. It aired in 2009. So it was like when I was in the tail end of my high school years. I just rewatched it after the Olympics, and it still holds up, but it's still extremely cheesy, but it was entertaining. So that is make it or break it. And this, like I said, was a show that aired on ABC Family, and it was centered around 4 elite gymnasts. And obviously what instantly came to my mind was the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco. Now, that series is extremely taboo and controversial, but Make It or Break It has a lot of drama, just like this series. Both corresponding similarly. These girls have to deal with health issues that are going to, keep them from their gymnastics dreams. They develop crushes on coaches. It doesn't go anywhere in the show, but the books is if you want that to happen. We have a hot foreign coach for both of these situations. These girls are nasty to each other. It just really shows the determination of doing whatever it takes to get to the Olympics and your dream. And like I said, this show, it was unhinged and it was cheesy at times, but it was also really, really fun. And I really enjoyed it on my rewatch. And now I want to go read Off Balance. So once again, if you haven't watched this, watch it. It's good. Read that. You get the gist. It's a good one. All right, now let's switch gears into a workplace drama. There's no better one than Grey's Anatomy. So last summer I was doing a Grey's Anatomy rewatch like I do every year, and I was thinking, why are there no companion novel series revolving around doctors and medical staff? Then you flash forward to this February and I discovered Dr. Resident by Lexie Woods. And this is the first book in a new medical companion novel series. It's called the Midtown Memorial series. And immediately opening this book definitely gave me Mark Sloan vibes, okay? And there are currently 3 books out, and all 3 of them, like I said, it's the medical staff. So book 1 is a doctor and a nurse. I haven't read the other 2 yet, but they are on my list. But like I said, it's just every medical staff you could think of, and like the drama, people hooking up in on-call rooms, like Grey's Anatomy, just all of that drama that you could want in the show, you're gonna get in these books. So yeah. Okay, now let's talk about a fantasy. So spooky season and fall is around the corner, and what is one of the most popular rewatches? The Vampire Diaries. So I love vampire romances, okay? Twilight was at its peak when I was in high school, but I really have not found any really great vampire romance books that have just captivated me like that did all those years ago. So flash forward to April of this year, and I discovered Age of Vampires by Caroline Peckham and Susanne Valenti. These are the authors that co-write Zodiac Academy, and like I talk in a lot of videos, The series that these authors write, it feels like there's crack laced in the books. Like you just cannot stop turning and turning. Anyway, this series gave me major Vampire Diaries vibes. Major. Like I think out of everything, every vampire-esque thing I've read, this is the closest. So this series is going to take place in the modern world, and it's as if vampires have completely taken over. Like they run blood banks, it's their rule. Well, in this story, you have two sisters as your main characters, and then the other two main characters are going to be a 1,000-year-old vampire and a 1,000-year-old hunter. So you get flashbacks and everything, and basically the male main character vampire, he is of an original family of vampires, like the Vampire Diaries. He and his family, they were cursed 1,000 years ago to be vampires. Now, a little different in this show is that you have, or a little different in this book series is that you have gods, and the gods are at war with each other, and basically they use the vampires and the hunters as their chess pieces in this war. And so a god basically tricked this family and turned them into vampires. And then another god, wanting to get rid of all the vampires in the world, she created hunters. And so there's this rivalry going on, and obviously you're gonna have one sister get with a vampire and the other sister get with a hunter, and it just makes it for a really interesting story. Also, you have a 1,000-year curse because the gods that cursed all these people, they told them there was a prophecy, and once they can figure out the prophecy, they'll break the curse. As we all know, the Vampire Diaries is very famous for a 1,000-year curse revolving around like the most popular character, Klaus. So this series just really gave me so much Vampire Diaries feelings. So if you love this show, go check out this series. It is absolutely amazing. Right, and then we have Euphoria. So Euphoria is a very unique watching experience, and for that I'm going to give you a very unique reading experience. So that is the Ecstasy series by KV Rose, and like the show, this is going to be a trip and really out there. So specifically book 1, Ecstasy, is a lot like Euphoria. The character Zara is constantly on a drug trip. She also has a male best friend who is her drug dealer, a lot like in Euphoria, and so their interactions just remind me a lot of that. Now, book 1 it's not necessarily a love triangle. It's kind of sharing, but it's also fighting about it. I don't know. It's a big mess. So you have a lot of toxic relationships here. We also have psychopathic male main characters that remind me a lot of Nate. Yeah, so do with that as you will. Now, this series is written in a very unique, interesting way. Book 1 ends in a very interesting way, and it makes you wonder why you have the next 2 books. You do, because the next 2 books are a duet, and they actually are a prequel to Ecstasy. It's one of the male main characters, Eli. You get his story like before the events of Ecstasy. Now KV is currently writing a 4th book in this series, Sinister. So she's written them like in this order for a reason. So if you're gonna read it in order. If you really want a unique, out there, trippy, unhinged reading experience just like this show, this series was absolutely perfect. KV's entire backlist actually is a lot of stuff, but I just think for the drug trip and the psychopathic characters and all of that, these just kind of tie perfectly with each other. Honestly, I'm gonna go with a mystery vibe, but it still has romance in it. So Veronica Mars. This is a very underrated show, okay? And if you like dramas from the 2000s, like One Tree Hill and The OC, Gossip Girl, all of those, go check out this one. So Veronica Mars is the daughter of Heath Mars, and he was basically the town detective, and he got fired from his job after solving a murder that happened to Veronica's best friend wrong. So when you get to the present day, her dad has basically started his own private detective agency, and she helps him by solving day-to-day crimes. While she does that, she's also trying to solve the crime that her dad got wrong to like correct his name and everything. That brings me to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. So in this trilogy, our main character, Pip, She is trying to resolve a murder that was wrongfully solved. Both of these murders are going to be about teenage girls. And so I just think with the resolving a teenage girl that is kind of an outcast among her peers and that just wants to solve crimes for fun, it's a great show. It has a great romance. I think Veronica Mars honestly has one of my favorite enemies to lovers relationships ever, because the guy that she gets with, Logan, he is the boyfriend of her best friend that ended up murdered before the show started. So it's just really great. So if you like this trilogy, check this show out. If you are one of the rare people that know what this show is, check this series out. All right, so those are the 9 TV shows and the 9 book series that I think you should check out. I am going to do a part 2 of this just because I watch a lot of TV. I read a lot of books. I just like to escape a lot, okay? Life sucks. Anyways, I hope you guys found some new shows or some new books to read. Anyways, as always, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!